Hi there, I am here today to show you how to make a fairly easy silhouette of your kiddo. There are lots of ways to do this. You can do it just through photography, I think, just like take a picture and then use editing tools to make your picture look that way. I don't know how to do that and kind of just figured out this way. So the benefit to the way I do it is that if you have a silhouette or a Cricut or tool like that, I have a Cricut. It does generate, you end up with basically a shape, like a specific image that you can save as an image and then load into your, in my case, the Cricut tool, and it will cut it perfectly out. And so you can then do a lot of different things with it versus just having an image that you have to print with a printer. So I've done it both ways. The printed ones are really cute too, but I liked the flexibility of being able to do, like, give it as a gift in both different mediums. So I'll cut to the chase here. The only software that I use to do this is PowerPoint. Then, of course, the Cricut software once I got it done. But to create the image, all I used was PowerPoint. Okay, so you also then obviously need a picture of your kid or dog or husband or whatever it is you're wanting to make in profile view. Okay, so once you get that loaded into your PowerPoint, you're going to go to Insert, Shape, and you're going to pick this little guy that they call the Freeform. And all it is just it's a kind of a user-defined polygon where it lets you dictate the shape. Okay, so the way this is going to work is when you click, it gives you a line, and when you click, it stops that line and starts a new line. They're all connected, but you just basically end up clicking around the whole head, and then when you get back to your first dot and click, it closes the loop and makes it into a shape. So a couple of tips before I start here. The first one is I have found that it is a way easier to fix little kind of mistakes after you're done than it is to stop and try to fix it and then keep going. Basically, once you get a shape, see, I'll kind of, so I have this shape here. Like, say I didn't like that point, and you can double click and end it. And see, it didn't close, so it didn't fill in, but it gives you a line. I could go back now and fix that, but then in order to keep going, the only thing I figured out how to keep going is you go to edit points and then you have to add points and like start dragging it around and tell it to close. I just think it's way harder to do that than, I'll show you the alternative. Here's a little polygon. Say I didn't like that point. Just go ahead and keep going until you're done. Then it's really easy. You right click, edit points, and I say I want this guy to be like that. Then you can come back and move it. You can change the curvature, and I'll go into that more once I've got the outline on the head done here, but that'd be my first tip. The second thing I would say is that it's going to look kind of funny. It's going to look like, oh, this is not going to work, but there's a lot you can do, again, with the curvature and the editing after the fact, and it kind of, I don't know, when I drew around my first one, I thought, oh man, this just doesn't really look like his hair should, I don't know, I just didn't think it looked very good. And then once I got it all done and made it black and white, it really somehow just looked just like him. So give it a little bit of patience, and hopefully you will be happy with yours too. So with that, I'm going to just show you how I do this here. Again, you're going to grab this Freeform, and I'm going to start right here on his neck. One other piece of advice is that you want to make kind of the longest lines that you can, because you can change the curvature of them. So if you have a curvy area, you don't need to do a million little dots to grab that curve. You can make a line curve after the fact. It'll make more sense as you see me go here. But to start, you click, and then you'll see here I have a line following my cursor. And you're going to bring that right here is about as far as I think I can take it before I need to start a new trajectory to match his little neck slope there. Okay, so I've just clicked twice. Now I and my line is ready to go off in a new direction. And you can see right here his little hair kind of puffs down that way. So right here I'm going to have to do much shorter lines to kind of get that more precise shape right there. But now I'm back to his little noggin here. It's pretty smooth. So I'm going to make a nice long line. And all that does is that once I'm done here, all of these clicks turn into dots that you can then go smooth and curve or straighten. The more of those you have, just the more time it takes and the more work it is to get it all just perfectly perfect. So try to save yourself some time there. So I'm just going to keep going here. And there we've got a little bit of hair. Hair I think is the hardest. Curly hair specifically is tricky. But like I was saying earlier, the first time I did this kiddo's hair, I thought, this looks weird. It's going to look really funny. And it just didn't. It just ended up looking just like him. So just don't panic. Don't panic if it's not coming out like you think. I actually think after doing a couple that the hair, I don't know, somehow is not that critical that you get it just right, I guess, because hair never lays the same way twice. I mean, if you get the nose wrong, then it, won't look like the person that you love. But if you get the hair a little funny in a spot, it's like, well, it may have looked like that yesterday, it just doesn't today. Okay, here we come down his little forehead. Hoping everyone can hear The Office playing in the background. Pretty big Office fans are in here. Here I come down the slope of his nose. I'm going to get a little bit smaller with my lines so that I can get that perfect little shape. Okay. Okay. Alright, a little lip. This is an area that I usually kind of like I make, again, the first pass here and I don't worry too much about very precise shapes, but when I go back and edit, as I'll show you here in a minute, I zoom in on those little lips and make sure the lips and the nose and the eyelashes look just right, because those are very specific little areas that define a person. Okay, you can see, I got an example right here. I don't know, it may be hard to see, but you can see that little line maybe on his neck, like comes in way too far and looks really funny. Not panicking, and I come back and get that here in a little bit. Okay, so I'm almost done. The last thing that I need to do is kind of close off the neck. So there's kind of a style that I Googled, and most people tend to do this, and that is to kind of come out and make it almost like a bust. And I need to scroll down. Will it let me? It won't. So I'm going to just kind of make this look really ugly because I don't have room, and if I click off the screen, it's going to end it for me. And then I'll come back and just fix this. So done. Okay, so I'm about to click, and it recognizes, hey, it's closed, so it finishes it for me. Okay, so you can see it looks like a person, but it looks like a weird person. It's just really choppy. So the next thing that I do in order to help me align this with him better is I go to the kind of the formatting toolbox here, and I change the fill. Can you see this? Yeah. To be no fill. And that way I can see what I'm doing better. And also I'm going to change the line to black so it's got better contrast and I can see it better. So it's just about visibility. Okay, so in order to make changes here, I'll show you. I'm not going to make you sit here and watch like an hour or 30 minutes or however long it takes of me to smooth all of this, but I'll show you the couple of things that I do. So first off, in order to edit this, scroll a little, you just right click on the line, or I think you can do it maybe on the edge of the box, either way, and you go to edit points. And then you can see here, every place that I clicked is a little black dot. Okay, so there are a couple of different things you can do. You can click on a dot, and that's the shape. It may not be, this is a Mac, so this may only be true of a Mac. But when you get that little shape, then you're on the dot and you can move the dot, like physically move where the dot is. And you can also undo while you're in this mode, which is very handy. If you hover and get this shape, that's going to grab, as you can see, so I clicked on that dot and I got these two little white lines. What those are telling you is what trajectory the line takes either direction from that black dot. So each black dot will have a white box on either side of it. If I were to grab one of those, what that does, if you can see, is it just changes the curvature. If I drag it up, it'll make it hump up. If I drag it down, it'll make it hump down. If I pull it straight to the next dot, it will make it a straight line. So that's, I mean, frankly, that's really the long and short of most of the work that I do. One other trick that I found to be helpful is a lot of these lines come out straight, and what you want is for them to be curved. So you can either right click on the line segment itself and click curve segment, and you can see it barely moved there. It actually didn't curve quite enough, so I would come in here and say, now I want you to pucker out a little bit more to match what his head's doing right there. Or you can, so that was right clicking on the line. You can also go over to a dot and right click on the dot and tell that point to be a smooth point. And then it kind of curves the lines around it for you too. So either one of those is a good option. So see here, this guy curved out, but it curved out a little too much. So I'm going to come grab, here we go, that guy and kind of tell it, now I want you to come in a little bit there. And this dot needs to just bump in a little. And curve in a little bit more. And I'm still not, this point still seems a little too pokey. So I'm gonna make it straight. So if this was gonna be my final product, I would spend some more time right there. I'm still not very happy with that spot. So you can go like zoom, I can zoom in up to 400%, so I could zoom in and get way more precise in certain areas where needed. But this is just a crash course, so I'm not going to do that right now. But like I said earlier, the nose, the mouth, kind of the face is an area that it's worth spending a lot more time to get it just right. The hair, maybe not so much. But anyway, what I do is I start at one point and I just march around and I pretty much curve every line. Some of them are already curved. The computer kind of picks whether it thinks you're wanting a straight or a curved line there. So see, this one is already curved. If I come up to this one looks like it's straight. So see, it's set to straight because that's gray. So that one I want curved. So I'll kind of march around in order and just right click, curve, right click, curve, right click, curve, all the way around, because there really aren't many spots on a human that are just truly straight. Until I'm happy with it. And then the last thing that I'll do, so say I'm happy with this. I never am able to take, or haven't been very successful at taking pictures where their eyelashes hang over. And my kids are not great at sitting still for these, so I just kind of fake it. So what I do for that is grab another, let's go back, insert shape, and I just grab another polygon, and in this case I'm going to zoom way in to his little eye area, and I just kind of pick where his eyelashes are and just go straight left, and I haven't found that it looks funny at all. It looks visually like his eyelashes would be out here when you print it, but actually they're not. And so this is basically the same process, on a much smaller scale as what we just did, except that you're kind of free forming some eyelashes. I think it's probably easiest if don't trust yourself to create the shape, you can make it where his actual eyelashes are. If you have the same problem I do, maybe you'll get a picture where they're nice and perfectly right out here. If you don't, if you get them out here, you can just trace them. If you don't, you can still trace them back here and then just arrow or with a cursor move the shape over to where they'll hang outside of the image. So let me just really quickly. Oh, it wanted to let me click. There we go. And one other piece of advice is, let's see, it was done before I was ready. So I'm going to make this bigger so that I can fix it so it doesn't look at all like eyelashes. So see here, it cut off. I want to add another point. So I'm going to right click add point. You can do this on the head too if you ever feel like you need to add a point. You can also delete a segment. We'll leave a blank. It's better if you don't like a point or don't think you need a point to right click delete point. And I want one more, so I'm going to add one more point. What I was starting to say is I think it's better to make these eyelashes a little bit bigger than they are in reality just because they're so small and thin and fine, especially if you use the Cricut and where it's cutting this out. The ones that I've made, I'm going to need to go back and make them thicker because when I make them like just a few inches big, like if I try to cut out a little one, the eyelashes kind of just fall off because they're so thin. Okay, so this is generally kind of eyelash shape, so I need to come in and curve it all. Curve. 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 Okay, so now I'm just going to play around with the shape a little bit. And let's see how this doesn't look. Here we go. So if you ever want to change the size but not the proportionality at all, you can hold down shift when you shrink it. But now I want it to be a little more curved, so I'm not going to hold down shift. Okay, so that's not great. It's not terrible. This spot right here is a little bit funky, so I'm going to try to mess with, if I can here, I'm going to try to mess with the curvature in this little spot right here. It's too humpy. I hate that. Okay, that's a little bit better. Now maybe if I make this point move. Oh, no, that is not right. I think maybe I'll try deleting a point. I think maybe I have too many points. I overthought it. See, actually that looks way better. So see how you can actually hurt yourself and make the shape look worse by having too many dots if you try to get too precise. The curvature is honestly like the very smoothest way to do this. It's just tempting to kind of over-click when you're in real small quarters. Okay, so I'm going to now drag this guy just kind of straight over from where the eyelashes are on average. Okay, so now I would probably keep messing with that a little bit, but that's pretty close and will look fairly normal. You also may want bottom lashes. If you do, I think the best method is to take the top lashes and control copy, control paste, and just rotate them. So in my computer, you do that by coming down to, let's see, where is, here we go, size, rotation, and ordering. And, well, flip vertical. Okay, so there you can see it's now curving the other way. And bottom lashes are obviously more petite. thin top lashes. So I think in order to do that without squishing it too much, I'm going to just reduce the border. It's kind of a little trick. So over here, the line where you can control the color and whether it's dashed or whatever, you can also control the weight. So I'm going to decrease it, and you can see how that's getting smaller and smaller. Okay, so now I'm just going to drag that right over here. It looks so funny. It doesn't look like it's too high, I think, actually. It doesn't look like it's going to look right, but somehow it just kind of is. And I've done some that just have the top eyelash, and they look precious too, so that's kind of a personal call, I'll say. Okay, so I'm going to come back down to right kind of here. You can see it all. Okay, so now the last thing I'm going to do here, like, again, this head needs a lot more work, but just for the sake of time and your sanity, I'm going to pretend that it's done. And so I'm going to come over to it. I'm going to grab it, hold down Command, and grab the eyelashes as well. And I'm going to make all the lines black, and I'm going to make where's my color? I'm going to make the fill black. Okay, so suddenly, there I have, like, it's amazing what just the black color does. Oh, sorry, let me back up a little bit. One other thing I wanted to come back and show you was the neck. So let me show you how I make this try to look in the end. Okay, so what I do is just like, I think it's probably called a bust. You just make it kind of look like you were headed down to do the shoulders and stuff, and then kind of curve it. So, as I've done before, I'm going to curve all this. That was already curved. Okay, I think I have too many dots right here. Delete. Okay, so now I'm going to use the white lines to make this a kind of a pretty more flowy. Oops. Oh no, I have two dots there. Let's delete that guy. Okay. Okay, so this there, oops, undo. There is for sure no art form to this. I want that. There we go. You can bring it down farther and make it bigger. I would probably work on that spot a little bit more, but I just that's kind of in general the shape that I go for. So then when you're fully happy with your shape, which again, can't reiterate enough, this is not done. I would not print it like this, but you can click the picture in the back and delete it out, and there you have your precious little image. And let me actually see if I can have, here we go. Okay, so here are the ones that I actually printed. So I did both boys just like this. Maxie has curly hair, so this one's a little tougher. In fact, this is a good point where I had space, like negative space, where I wanted to show like a curl, especially, I don't know if you have like little girls with longer hair and more like a ponytail with gaps like this. All that I did the outline just like normal. These little wispy curls were really hard and really precise, but that's all one long line. When I got to this point, I just got a new shape and drew it, and filled, once I got, like, deleted the picture out, I filled those in white and filled everything else in black. Okay, so this was my final product. I did the kiddos separately. It's important when you start dragging these around, you're going to want to group your shapes together, and by shapes I mean the head and the top eyelash and the bottom eyelash. So I kind of breezed through that over here. But to do that, you grab your head, your big square, hold down Control, grab top eyelash, grab bottom eyelash, and then on any of those three shapes, right click, go to grouping and group. And all that does is that when you drag it, it's all going to go together. And if you size it, whoops, that changed the dimension. So again, hold down Shift if you do this. They'll size together. So that's really key. You're definitely going to want to do that. Okay, back to this guy. So, I mean, that's really it. Then it's just a matter of printing it. So these are ones that I printed on the printer. The only difference over here, the way that I made these together, is I took Max, copy pasted him, shaded him white. So this is actually like two of Max's heads. So if I move this over, you can see this is a whole copy of this, just shaded white. And then I put the black one just a tiny bit to the right to give him a little shadow so that you could see him on top of my older son. One other tip for printing, if you're going to print this just with ink on white paper, when you print it, go into your settings and set it to like a high quality. I did this the first time on just regular quality, and it came out with lines, and it looked okay, but it didn't look professional. And once I bought nicer paper and changed the printer setting, it looked much, much better. Also, we just have like a very basic $40 desktop printer, so if you have a nicer printer, it'll probably look a lot better than that. And then the last thing is if you want to cut this out in a Cricut, or that's what I have, or a Silhouette, or whatever it is that you have. Once you've got the items, I'll go back to my guy over here. Once you have the items grouped, you can right click, save as a picture, and then just save it as the file extension that you need for your respective device in some location, and you can import it into your software that you need to cut out the little silhouette on paper. So that is that. That took a long time. If you're still watching this, God bless your soul. I hope this was helpful. I hope that it works for you and you don't lose your mind smoothing and curving lines. But I just think this is such a precious way to document what your kids look like at different phases, because they change so fast. So if you have any questions, email me, call me, text me, whatever, and I'd be happy to try to help. Have a great night.